I hope you're enjoying the MSI content. I just want to say don't forget to subscribe and enjoy the video. Here we go. Knockout stage Pickems. Wow, you gotta predict the whole bracket. That is ridiculous. Is that serious? The whole fucking bracket? Ooh, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Now, the way I'm gonna do this Pickems, because a lot of people blame me for their Pickems. They blame me. Okay, I didn't pick TL to win over KC. My bad. My bad. Everything else was right, but I didn't pick TL to beat KC. So I'm going to give you a caveat. And the way this is going to work is I'm going to tell you the series that are very hard to predict and the series that I think should be pretty easy to predict. Okay? Now, we'll start with easy. This, if Team Secret Wales beats Hammerlife, then the world is broken and I don't know what to even say out of my mouth anymore. So, I think we're going to do this. I would say this one here, let me get my pen out because I'm going to make sure your Pickems are the best Pickems ever and I'm going to take no responsibility if they're the worst Pickems ever. This is literally a 90% win for HLE. Maybe more, maybe 95. If HLE lose that series, then I will continue to hate. I will just fucking hate watch them for the rest of the year. This is like a 95% chance you'll get that right. The second series is probably the quote-unquote easier one to predict is Lion versus Furia. Now, this is CBLOL 1 versus LCS 1, but Lion should win that, I would say. I wouldn't say it's super favored for Lion, because Furia is currently 8-0 versus LCS teams, but those LCS teams were C9 and Sentinels, so I think zero faith there. I think Lion should win that series. I think Inspired will run it, and that'll be their easy series win. I would say Lion here is probably 70%. Maybe 70-30. If Furia win, I don't think it's a giga upset, but it's quite surprising. Alright, so that's the start of your Pickems. Now gets the hard part. These two. These are hard series to predict. Very hard. Now, T1 are often slow starters to tournaments. However, they've already played 3 best-of-5 in play-ins when they go up against BLG. And G2 Top Esports, historically, at MSI, G2 3-0'd them. But that was in the lower bracket. So G2 are the CEOs of lower bracket runs. They're all best-of-5 games. Now, these ones I think are a bit harder to predict. I think it really depends on what you favor and where you favor it. I'm going to say T1 beats BLG. I think if you put BLG, absolutely fine. I think the one concern maybe I'll have for T1 is solo lanes, but I think they've had time to grow into the tournament. They've got pretty good meta read, I would say. And BLG is probably the strongest team in the tournament next to Hammerlife. But I have a feeling T1's going to win. I have a feeling T1's going to win. And they're going to go into the next round. And they'll probably beat Lion as well. I think T1 will probably get to round 3. I think HLE is going to win against Team Secret Wales. This one, I think, is insanely hard. If you go based on history, even though G2 beat TES 3-0 at MSI 24-25, TES should win that series. TES should win that series. Now, I do think there will be a rematch in the lower bracket between TES and G2. And I think G2 will be the one that wins that. That's how I see it. IMO. I think that the further TES gets through the tournament, I think the worse they will play. Call me crazy. Then I think HLE will beat TES, and HLE will beat T1 and go to the finals. And T1 will go to the lower bracket. Then I think BLG will beat Furia. We'll have an LPL rematch. BLG will win. G2 will move on to face Lion. G2 will win. It'll be BLG, G2. BLG will beat G2. T1 will then beat BLG. And we'll get a HLE T1 finals where I think HLE will win. I think this is kind of where my brain is at. You might think, wow, Sally, you're quite HLE, you're quite LCK biased. I am quite LCK biased. I am quite LCK biased. But I think that these Pickems, we're talking Pickems here, purely from Pickems. These Pickems, IMO, are purely decided. Your points for Pickems will be purely decided on who's better, T1 or BLG. Because if you get this right, you'll get all of these right. And I think this is the hardest one to get right. And similarly, like if BLG goes to the lower bracket, you know, and BLG goes to the finals, like this is where you'll like really start farming points. It's between the BLG or the T1 win. That is really it. You're actually just quite HLE biased. Yeah, I am quite HLE biased. Fuck, man. Actually, do I trust HLE? So, okay, let me break it down in a little bit of an easier way. The tournament favorites are HLE, BLG, and T1. These are the 3 tournament favorites. My opinion is that G2 is a strong team. I think that they are better than TES. But I think in the first round, best of 5, G2 will just lose. Because they always just fucking lose. Fuck, this is a hard pick'ems, man. This is a hard pick'ems. I think the only 2 series I feel confident on are these. And then I think, okay, the best way for pick'ems to describe, I think these 2 series are probably, this one for sure is more given. And I think that the winner, I think HLE will beat the winner of this. Whoever you choose G2 test, HLE should win that. And the BLG T1 winner, whoever you choose, should beat Lion. So, you know what I mean? So if you choose BLG, you should choose BLG again. If you choose T1, you should choose T1 again. If you choose HLE, which you should choose HLE again. That's, I think, if you want to farm points. Oh my god, who's gonna choke at MSI? Who's gonna choke? Who's not gonna show up? Billy is hard to doubt at MSI. Historically, Billy cooks at MSI. Or not cooks, but they do pretty well at MSI. I think Tess will like win and then they'll just start, then they'll lose to HLE and then they'll just fall off, I think. Fuck, do I think G2's gonna lose to Tess? I think G2 is a better team, but I just think round 1 and these. If it was like lower bracket round 3, just G2 versus Tess, I think G2 would win, 100%. So anyway, I think my pick'ems, my top side pick'ems will look like this. I'm pretty... Fuck, man, I don't know. Does G2 beat Tess? Cream did some crazy things to Caps last time they played against each other. He did some unspeakable things. I think I'm going to choose G2. And you know why? Because I think Skewmond is going to be fucking fire at this MSI. I'm a fucking Skewmond believer. Fuck it. Yo, Skewmond is going to cook the shit out of TN. I'm convinced, by the way. I'm convinced. If this was like older versions of G2, I would probably doubt. But I think Skewmond's going to cook. I think Skewmond is really at his peak now. We're going Skewmond. Fuck it. We're going Skewmond. And then Tess wins here, and then BLG wins here, and then BLG fathers G2 in the lower bracket. Then they own them, and then we get... I think no matter what, we will get T1 BLG here, or T1 HLE or BLG will be here. G2 has an easier run if they lose round 1. Yeah, but that's if you're coping to get further in the tournament. If you're gonna win MSI, you gotta beat everyone. It just do be like that. You're gonna have to play the best eventually. So it's not about easier run. Easier run to what? To 4th? Fuck that. The craziest thing about this whole pick'ems is BLG T1 is playing each other in round 1. So that means no matter what, BLG or T1 is in lower bracket round 1 from day 1 onwards. Which is the most mental thing ever. Someone says, what do you think of my pick'ems? What the fuck? You put G2 to beat T1 and HLE and then lose in the finals to T1? I think HLE has an easy run to here. I think they have a pretty easy run. If HLE don't make it to here, then that's disgusting. That is, like, actually, I'm gonna straight up say it, a generational choke if HLE don't make it to here. If G2 beat HLE, then fucking hell. Slap my ass and call me fucking Billy. We got some shit cooking in Europe here. G2 test, yeah, I'm gonna go G2. Fuck it, I'm gonna go G2. I think G2 are a better team. I'm just really scared of, like, round 1 G2. Round 1 G2 is always kinda, like... Like, even last MSI in play-ins, they almost fucking got knocked out by Gam and Furia because they were so slow to start play-ins. And I think that they are just slow starters. Like, last year MSI G2 was fucking ass. Let me have a look. MSI LOL 2025. Alright, so last MSI, like I was saying, G2 almost lost to Furia. And then they lost to BLG Trio, and then they almost lost to Gam. And then, in round 1, they got 3-0'd by FlyQuest. Oh, sorry. That was in the lower bracket. They got 3-1 by Gen G, and then they got 3-0 by FlyQuest. And they were out. Their MSI performance was fucking awful. So this is last MSI. T1, again, also slow starters. 3-2 versus CFO, but then they blasted BLG. I can't remember the games, but it's a 3-0. And then this was a cinema MSI. These 3 series were fucking cinema. This was also pretty cinema. Until they went like that Game 5 comp that I think was like really weak or something. I can't remember what they did, but there's something happening in Game 5. Fuck me, man. The pick'ems, if someone gets 100% right in these pick'ems, then Jesus, take the wheel. Because this is a hard pick'ems to predict. This is a really hard pick'ems to predict. Because it all weighs on... It all weighs on... Who's better, BLG or T1? Because that'll decide so much of the pick'ems. I think I'm gonna do T1 beats BLG, T1 beats Lion, T1 HLE, G2 beats Tess, G2 lose to HLE, BLG beats Furia, BLG beats G2. Lion Tess is actually hard to call. I'll say Tess wins, BLG fathers. The last time T1 played HLE, it wasn't very pretty for T1. It was not pretty. Owner got kind of gapped I'm going to say something like T1 beats HLE, and then BLG beats HLE, and then BLG wins maybe, or something. I don't know. Fuck, man. I was speaking to Pobelter today about MSI, and I was like, what do you think about MSI? What are your, like, thoughts in general? And he said to me, I don't know, man, but I've just realized that I need to, you can never ever doubt T1, ever. I don't know, man. I think Pace and Keria, for me, are just, they're doing things to me, you know? They're doing things to me in my head that makes me think, like, fuck, I feel like that bot lane might run this tournament. Because the thing that's swinging me a lot on T1 is their play-ins run is maybe making me just feel more recency biased than I should. Mainly because of every time they were in draft and they dropped bot lane to 4-5, which they can easily just drop bot to 4-5, they had so many fucking bot lane matchups that they were just ready to pull out. They had like, they could go Lucian lane, they could go a Yunara lane, they could go a Sivir lane, they could go a fucking Mel lane, they could go a Ziggs lane, they could go a Xayah Rakan, they could go a Caitlyn lane, they could go Kalista, Renata. Like, this, like, freaked me out. And I know that's something that they probably could have done before, but I think that something in me is really convinced that T1's going to cook at MSI this year. Even though historically they don't really cook that hard, you know, like they haven't won MSI in God knows how long, but they always do get to the finals / top 3. So I think T1, BLG, HLE, just make sure whatever you do in your Pickems, those 3 are the higher seeded teams. Because 25 MSI, T1 made the finals and lost 5 games to Gen G, which was like absolutely incredible levels of gameplay. The levels that these 3 teams showed, AL, TL, and Gen G, were T1 and Gen G, were just unreal. 24 was the year that, what happened for 24? That was one the BLG won, wasn't it, or something? That was one Gen G won against BLG. This is where they went 5 games versus G2. G2 beat PSG. Oh, this was where they beat TES in the lower bracket. Then they lost to T1 super hard. Gen G, BLG, T1 again. I think it's very safe to just put HLE, T1, BLG top 3. It's so safe. 2023 was the LPL one where JDG had the super team. But again, top 3. Only, I mean, that MSI was so stacked if you think about it. Gen G, BLG, JDG, and G2. And this was like when BLG was like growing into a strong team. 22 was the... I think 22 was the online finals, wasn't it? For RNG, and they won the finals. That was the online, and T1 was in person, 35 MS meme. That's when MSI was a lot smaller. And 21 was also RNG win, wasn't it? Against DK, when DK went mad. Yeah, I don't know. I think T1's team is cooking really hard this MSI. I know it's only play-ins. Their game 2s did look quite shaky. BLG's late games have been a bit weak. Not weak, but they are bad late game. And T1 is very good at finding angles to come back in games that they're behind in. I think they're a very creative team and very difficult to close games out against. So they're probably... I would say T1 has shown the most resilience in mid to late game transitions when they're behind, regardless of this play-ins. Even in domestically, they were like that. But it's just HLE would just roll over them from draft, mainly. Like the HLE T1 series was draft and Kanavi. But I think the drafting's already better for T1. Drafting was a pretty big issue for T1. But again, I think Pickems just make sure you have BLG, T1, and HLE in this area, and you'll be fine. I think it's really a gamble. I think any of the 3 could win this tournament. HLE and BLG are just massive solo lane teams. Even though they don't play too much for topside, they're just really heavy counter pick or carry orientated style top. And T1 is super bot centric. And I think with Grubs being strong, winning bot and swapping, I think the Grubs buff is nice. Swap bot top. They always do this. Even when Pace was back in the day just playing Kai'Sa in the early stages of the year, he just run top. I don't know. I'm kind of on the T1 train. I think HLE will beat them here and then they'll win in the finals. But I am, and I will put my hands up and admit this, I am LCK and LEC biased. So other people's tier lists, when they have LPL and all that stuff, they'll have BLG winning. If they're more NA sided, they might have Lion winning against TES. Not sure. But I'm pretty confident in this. The only thing I'm not really confident on is this. But I'm going to put G2. I think they can be better. I think they are better. It's just Europe has this issue of showing up sometimes. And it takes them a while to show up. You're picking T1 so you don't get kicked out. What? Okay, this guy just has... You have basically the exact same, but you just put the G2 beats BLG and then beats fucking top esports as well, which is that... Like, I'm EU biased, but that is fucking crazy that they're going to beat BLG. You just have T1 losing to G2 and then fathering their way to win the tournament somehow. Okay. And then you have top esports to win the tournament, which is the most mentally ill thing I've ever seen. I don't think TES will win the tournament because that means they have to get through BLG and Hammerlife and T1. I don't see that personally, but you never know. Wait, I need to have a look at something. He's been playing Vlad Kartus and Syndra bot. Like, actually, like a decent amount. He's not really winning on them. But he's got four or five games of Syndra recently. Vlad bot, Seraphine bot, Chalia bot. What is he like? Oh my god, he completely into his friends. His homies. Yeah, I think I'm happy with those Pickems. I think I'm happy with this. BLG beats Furia, BLG beats G2, BLG beats TES. They make a nice lower bracket. They lose to T1 in like a 5-game series, and they go to the finals, and hopefully it's like a 5-game series here as well. They probably just 3-0 TES. They probably just 3-0 G2. They probably just 3-0 Furia and just blast everyone here. This might be like a 3-1 or something. And this might be like a 3-1, 3-2. That'll be close. Well, the thing is, Pickems are just fucked on day one because BLG plays T1 on day one. I guess the one thing I'm robbed of here is BLG versus HLE. Wait, they're on day 2? Wait, really? Oh yeah, they're on day 2. Oh, it's G2 TES. Oh, nice. Oh, this scheduling is good. This is good for NA fans. This is good for EU fans. Oh, the scheduling's really nice, actually. Yeah, BLG's on the golden road right now. BLG is on the golden road. How are your Pickems doing? My Pickems are okay. My play-ins were fine, but I put KC to be T-Law, which was obviously a mistake. That was kind of stupid. Not gonna lie, though. After day 2 or 3 of watching TL play till here, I would have swapped to TL to win the series if I could change my Pickems, but I can't. But I think there was 2 people who did it, and Midbeast was one of them. Midbeast predicted TL to win. But he's in TL, so I feel like he's a part of Team Liquid. So I feel like, yo, he's kind of... Alright, yeah, that's my Pickems. I'm happy with that. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of different iterations. This is going to be a very hard bracket to predict. But, yeah, just make sure you have BLG, T1, and HLE in your top 3 somewhere. How do I see the community? Because there is a community going on right now. How do I see my community? Wait, a lot of you... Wait, a lot of people in the community... Are you just KC hate watchers or what? How does so much of the community have... What the fuck? I'm 83rd in my own community. What? That's the first place person in my community? Oh, yeah, this looks very reasonable. You're mentally ill. That is the most mentally ill thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm EU biased, but that's crazy. Good luck. Good luck in your Pickems. Good luck. Good luck, everyone. Seriously. This is a hard one to guess. What do you get, actually, before we stop talking about Pickems? What do you get for winning the Pickems? What the fuck? What the... You get a fucking emote? Top 25% is an emote, and perfect is Jin skin. Okay, I don't think anyone's gonna have perfect Pickems this MSI. Call me nuts. Wait, this perfect Pickems, is this on knockout predictions only, or is this on Crystal Ball as well? It's on everything. No one's gonna have perfect Pickems. Nope. Impossible. No one's gonna have perfect Pickems. My Crystal Ball is cooked. Well, it's not full cooked. Some of my Crystal Ball is cooked. Well, some of them is still to be decided, but some of them, my play-ins ones are kind of cooked. I got a few points. Pace got highest KDA. That was a big win. Sinzao was 3rd in most picked, which is not bad. I knew that there was going to be a few champs. I didn't expect Renekton to be number 1, not going to lie. Getting KC here was very stupid. How did I win this? Wait, I got this right? I thought that there was a game with like 50-something kills. I got this wrong, but it was T1 who won the fastest game. I think KC was 2nd. Oh, wait, this was kills from one team? I thought this was... Oh, KC was 3rd. I thought this was total kills in a game. This is from a single team? Oh, okay, boom. So I got 1st, 3rd, and then this one I got wrong. Which is actually, I guess it's not bad. The problem is I'm cooked on this. This is already cooked. I don't know why I chose Kalis for that. That was really stupid of me. I thought he would play against like DCG or TL and they'd have a game that goes like 50 minutes and he would just... It was a massive gamble. Everything else is okay so far. I think Jarvan will become the lowest win rate. He's already on track. The problem is, this is going to be wrong because Camille is losing a lot of games, even though she's carrying, which is really sad. And Ashe top kills. It's kind of cooked at the moment because not many teams are playing Ashe. It hasn't really been played. I think it's been played once. I'm hoping that the main stage teams pick it because right now it's quite low. I think the highest right now is like, I don't know what it is. But everything else, I think this one I'm cooked on as well. Cassio bans need to happen more. So, highest win rate's Bard right now. Champion with the lowest win rate. Jarvan is tied for lowest win rate, so I might get that. Champion with the most kills is currently Gnar, which is crazy. Whoever put Gnar, Renekton, Rumble is 3 top laners for the highest kills is ridiculous. Highest CS in a single game is currently Pace. Kalista is 3rd, so I might get something for that. Highest KDA is Pace. Highest damage per game is Pace. I got Pace as well there. First Bloods, I have Owner or Pace. I can't remember. I don't remember what I chose. First Blood. Okay, so I've got these ones are right so far, which is good. I think Plains is so skewed on some of these stats. Most Elder Dragons is TL, but that'll change. KC's 3rd in fastest game, which is okay for me. Team with the most unique champions, again, still to be decided. Which team will get the least kills in a single game? I think DCG with 3 is probably going to take it. Teemo hasn't been picked yet. 68 champs, that'll go up a lot. There's only been 3 O's. Highest number of kills in a single game was TL. Most champion banned is currently Vi. I think that'll change as well, though. There's 16 best of 5s to go, right? So a lot of these will change. All right, good luck in your pick'ems.